This is my official lamb chop dog toy. See? The Lamb, the Legend, DreamWorks. I never saw the movie. I wish I had because I love stuff like that. But it's a dog toy. And I have rescued it from the jaws of dogs who will chew on it and destroy it. So lamb chop is saved in my house. And I don't eat lamb much anyway because it's a baby animal. I don't eat veal either. I've tried them both and we didn't grow up eating lamb or mutton even. Mostly it was, chicken, beef roast, or pork roast, whatever. And lately I'm eating a lot more vegetable stuff because, not just because of health reasons, but meat's expensive. And you can make a really decent meal out of vegetable stuff. I don't think I could give up dairy or eggs because it's so hard. I lived with a vegan before and it is so hard to cook, like bake a cake. You can make that wacky cake from the Depression without eggs or dairy. And Robert loved it. It's a chocolate cake called Wacky Cake. You can Google it. It's basically flour, cocoa powder, sugar, or sweetener, or whatever, and you make a little well in your mix. You probably then you do like baking powder, baking soda in one well, vinegar in the other, oil in the other, and then a little water. And you can mix it right in the pan, although I don't because I can never get the edges up when I'm stirring in a square little brownie pan or whatever. Or you can put it in a cake pan. And it makes like a single layer cake or an 8x8 square cake, like brownie cake. And you just mix it right up. And you put it in the oven for half an hour or so. And then you've got a little chocolate cake. You don't have any milk, butter, or eggs. You just get a little oil, vinegar, and I think it's baking powder and baking soda. But you look up Wacky Cake. And you make that for somebody, they're going to be your best friend forever. Robert was a chocoholic. I'd wake up on my neutral colored beige tan sheets that would go with everything that I got on sale somewhere, and there'd be chocolate on his pillowcase and around his mouth, on the corner of his mouth. And I'm like, Robert, did you get him the chocolate again at night? And he says, I don't know what you're talking about. Why do you think that? And he has chocolate all around his lips. And there's chocolate smears on the light colored pillowcase. And when we first got married, he would eat a giant chocolate bar, the whole thing, in the middle of the night. He'd get up and want chocolate, and he'd eat it. And then he started on those giant Hannaford bakery cookies, and he'd get those, and I'm supposed to be losing weight because of my mild blood sugar issues. And he'd plunk this giant cookie down in front of me after supper. You want a cookie? And I'm like, no, and I'd eat part of it, and I'm like, I won't eat the rest, and then it's sitting in front of me while we're watching TV, and of course I eat it. And he was bad he was a bad influence. Oh, come on, have another piece of pizza. Who eats just one? I'm like, one time I ate a half a pizza, and I was like, what did I just do? I only usually eat 1 or 2 slices at the most, and I don't eat pizza all the time because of the bread. Anyway, so years ago when we had that tsunami, I noticed a lot of people acting really nutty, and then all of a sudden that giant earthquake happened, and it was horrific. And I tried to tell my friends when I first saw the news headline, and they were so wrapped up in their own lives and their own issues. They were like, I'm like, 11,000 people, because that was the headline at the time, and they're like, so what? It's just another earthquake somewhere over there. Shut up about it, Jennifer. And I'm like, all right. And then as the story unfolded, I just happened to get a news alert in my email inbox, and I was like, whoa, 11,000 people killed in then it turned out to be a lot more, of course. And it was, but one of the interesting stories were that the animals, like the elephants and things, were running for the hills. They knew something bad was coming, and certain people had remembered stories from their elders saying, if the elephant run, follow it, son. You know, or the dolphins helping out a fisherman boat and not letting it go near the land because it was dangerous. The dolphins knew and they were trying to help them. Look at your animals. Look at your dog, your cat, your horse, whatever you got. Watch them. They know. You know, if your horse is calm, if your dog is calm, if your elephant's calm, if they're calm and they're touching the earth, you know, chances are that's not going to happen around you anytime soon. And I'm not a scientist, but there was a study done where they cut the feet off of pigeons in China to see about animals and beings, you know, birds or whatever, feeling earthquakes, and they didn't. Pigeons didn't fly away when they trembled the earth for them. Now that's simplification of something I read a long time ago, but we're animals too. And perhaps we're walking around sensing some bad stuff and some vibration that might be coming up soon, like a big volcano or earthquake or something. Or perhaps, you know, things are really bad because of COVID and we're all freaking out. Because we're not used to this stuff over here, and now all of a sudden we're in a third world country almost because we can't get formula or diapers, or gas is astronomical. And you know, when things happen, there is a subset of people who would take advantage and, you know, price gouging and stuff like that, but most people are good and kind and they will help each other. So if there is a disaster or if something bad happens, make sure you know your neighbors, check in on the elderly ones and the vulnerable ones, and have a little plan in place. You don't got to be a prepper. Have a few extra jugs of water. Have a 5-day cooler. That's what we do in the country. We're prepared. People here, I know who has a fireplace. I know who has a generator. I keep extra jugs of water. If it's going to storm, I fill out my mop bucket in case I got to flush. But I'm not a prepper. I'm not like storing 20 years of canned good in my basement, because if the day after happens, remember that movie? If that happens, I'm just going to bend over and kiss my ass goodbye. I'm not going to go down in my basement and open a can of pears or something that I canned 2 years ago, you know? You can't let things get you that much. And if they do, you got to walk away and take a break. And it's not just self-care. Go out and exercise, yeah, blah, blah, blah. But sometimes the hits just keep on coming. And you don't know which way to turn. Do whatever works best for you. And if I ever say anything that you don't like, throw it in the trash. Take what you want and leave the rest. Same thing with food. Don't ever force a little kid to eat something they don't like, because you're going to regret it later. Either they're going to puke it up or you're going to get in a big tussle with them. Nobody's going to be happy. Offer them the food. Encourage them to take a few bites. And if they won't, they won't. But don't let them eat dessert without eating their food first, of course, because that's nutrition. Or you could sneak some vegetables into their dessert. We do it all the time. Grind up some carrots and put it in the meatloaf. You know, feed them a banana cream pie and put it, you know, that's got bananas and cream. That's good for you. I made one the other night and I had some after lunch today. And I'm not going to do that every day of the week, but once in a while, a little banana cream pie, chocolate cream pie, a little taste of this, whatever you want. It's good for you. You want what you want, right? Anyway, I have this little flashlight. This is $10 on Amazon. And it's a black light. And it's LED, so it's not like the ones we had for our posters years ago. Because I do know what a black light is. And this is some costume jewelry. And look what happens when you put the black light on. This is ruby around onyx. And I don't know if it's real onyx or fake. That's a ring I made. And I thought it looked like crap. But I wore it the other day, last week somewhere. And somebody said, oh, I like your ring. And I'm like, I made it. And they're like, you made that? I'm like, yeah. So it's not as bad as I thought. It's not perfect, but perfect is the enemy of the good, right? So these are rubies, and this is just pot metal, which is cheap metal, and it's not even gold plated. I think it's brass. I have no idea. It doesn't tarnish, but it's worn and old. And that would have been like a mother's ring with the different birthstones. And it could have been from a department store years ago, but it's not worth anything. It's just, but I was curious to see if the stones are real. And when you shine a black light on a ruby, a real ruby, it'll fluoresce bright pink. So, and a lot of people will take these little flashlights to a flea market, because when you look at, say, green depression glass, if it's old, it will fluoresce bright green, and that way you know it's not like a 1970s reproduction. Not that that stuff's worth anything, but it's fun because it's got a little uranium in it. Not enough to kill you, but I'm not going to stick a depression glass mayonnaise spoon in my mouth and suck on it all night either. Anyway, this is what it's like. These are rubies. These are just cheap, fake, real rubies, but they're old. And this is what happens when you shine the black light. Look at that glow. See the glow? And so I know at least the rubies are real. The other ones are sapphire and emerald colored. But unless I had a tester, I wouldn't know. And a lot of people at pawn shops don't care about the gems. They care about the gold, because gold is what makes them money. And that's why poor people around here will go sell their gold during times of stress, and then when they get money, they'll go back down there and you can buy a pair of nice earrings for $60 or something, and you have a little treat without going to Kay Jewelers and signing your life away on a high interest loan for some mass manufactured ring. Anyway, look at that. That is so cool. That's kind of stuff you can show for $10. You can show your little kids how stuff fluoresces. See that? The one on it's just regular pink, and now it glows. Things aren't always what they seem. And there are many shades of gray. Not everything is black and white. There's a lot of nuances and shades of gray and all kinds of stuff. But the thing is keep your family around you. Keep your friends and family close. And look at your animals. And if they're calm, chances are you should be calm too. And if they run, you run too, son. Alright. Well, Lamp Jock says goodnight. I'm going to drink my tea. Have a good one.